what up? This your boy Sly Jones, a.k.a. Casanova of the Ghettos. And you know, I got my girl, Livy E to my right.
What's up, beautiful people?
What up, Livy E? And I got my girl, True Essence Love over here to my left.
Hello there, callers.
What's going on? What's going on? We got a fire show for y'all today. We got a special guest. It's going down.
Yes.
Well, you know, just a little antics in the place. But we all good. We all good. So check it. We got a special guest. I want to get into it, and I want to get into it early because I know she has a lot of things to say, a lot of good stuff to say. She's been all over the world, pretty much, and I want to get into it. So everybody, let's welcome Tia Williams.
Woohoo!
Hello. Yes, you got it right. It is Tia Williams. You got it.
You know, because I was gonna call you Taya because my girl name is Taya and her name is spelled Tia as well. So I was like, is it Tia or is it Taya?
It's Tia, like auntie.
Okay, like auntie.
Like, hello, my Tia. I'm here.
My Tia.
Mhm.
Okay. You got some Mexican in you?
I mean, I got some African, I got some black, I got some strong, I got some strength, I got some wisdom, I got some spice, I got some juice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
got the
basically,
tea.
you saying you the realest.
No, I'm an extension. I'm an extension and a reflection.
There you go. Man, you almost like Essence Love over here.
Okay.
Boy,
An
she-
extension and a reflection.
Man, go ahead. An extension and a reflection.
Can't lose with that.
I'm going to sit on that for a little bit. Libby,
What's up?
what's going on?
I'm excited to talk to Miss Tia, who is representing West2West movement. You got to tell us more about that, Miss Tia.
Please.
Absolutely. West2West movement is a platform, an organization, a vehicle to create an exchange of resources, education, and culture for young, old, ageless Black folks to connect across the different continents and internationally.
And so now, with that being said, now where are you going and where have you been?
Yes, so West2West movement has been to Ghana,
Okay.
West Africa. West2West movement is going to Ghana, West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And in the future, we will go to the Caribbean. We will explore everywhere where there are, Black folks in the diaspora who have set up shop, who have been there for hundreds and thousands of years, who have contributed to building societies, who have left their culture imprints across the world. So right now it's Ghana. 2019, 2020, we may have like Jamaica on the list in addition to Ghana as well.
Okay.
And we right here too. We in
Yeah.
LA, we in Sacramento, we everywhere in between.
And so West2West, I take it you from the West Coast.
I am. I was born in LA, actually raised out in the IE. My co-founder, Takara Johnson, she was born in Sacramento. So I know we'll probably get into the backstory of West2West. But really, yes, from right here, and also recognize that we got strong roots on the west coast of the continent too.
Okay. And so for those that don't know, the IE is Inland Empire.
Oh yeah.
So that's like really far away from Los Angeles.
It's only about 60 miles.
Yeah, with 19
Less
hours
than
of
an
traffic.
hour. Yeah, because it's a lot of people out here these days.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And what what's the word I'm looking for? Essence. I had something, but I forgot. Maybe I shouldn't have ate bacon tonight.
Yeah, that's
I
swine.
wanna
That's
know.
swine to get with you.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. Now, you're fairly young. I
would say so.
What makes someone like you, at your age, what I mean, do something like this?
Well, really, I don't really have, I don't know what else I would be doing. Just kind of like you just, go into different places. And two, it's not new stuff that we doing. Taking people to the continent, bringing awareness and exposure, and really taking a stance on protecting culture and taking a stance on the importance of understanding identity, understanding where we come from in this like political climate that we're in. I don't know what else I would be doing. So, we are here. We are, like I said, an extension, at least not just me an extension, but an extension of the works of people doing this work in the 90s, doing this work in the 80s, doing this work in the 70s.
Right.
Black power movements, back to Africa movements, Pan-African movements. It's not new. But we are living in a time where we see how necessary it is
Right.
to have a resurgence of this sort of energy. And, the torch has just been passed for us to be the ones to do it.
I love that, Tia.
In addition to so many other people who are doing the same work right now.
So being a Nigerian American myself, I'm very big on this movement that's going on that, African Americans wanting to know their culture, where we actually come from. What was that determining factor for you where you were like, okay, this is a need and people need to know? Because for me growing up, it was tough because I would be talked about or being called African. It was more so of an insult.
Right.
Or, or go back to Africa, little comments like that. So what was that determining factor for you when you seen like, okay, there's a disconnect. We got to figure something out.
As I was in college, really, I took for granted all of what I had learned growing up in my household. I knew where my elders came from. I knew where, my ancestors came from stateside speaking. I knew that we had family from Texas. I knew we was in the North Carolina, South Carolina, and during like the quote unquote Great Migration, AKA Black folks like escaping terrorism, domestic terrorism, they came to California. I knew all of that growing up. And then you just get to a point where as you want to continue your legacy work and find out where you come from, you want to go a step further. And now we live in like this really technologically advanced age where we can like Google anything. We can see people on social media, we can see people making songs, dancing, talking just like us on a whole other continent. And it's like, wow, that's my brother. Like that could be my sister over there. Let me go over there and connect. So that's really where it came from. When studied abroad, using studies to take me there, as my sister Cara did as well. And from there, the connection was set ever since. When I got there, I definitely understood the miseducation that we both receive on both ends. So as much as, here you may have been told to like go back to Africa or get out of here, when you get there coming from this side, there also are misconceptions of the experiences that we have here, because so much of our lives, so much of our culture here stateside is represented and is portrayed by people who are not us and people who do not have our best interests at heart.
Yes.
So to be able to make those real honest connections, both in person, online, in thought, in practice, like that's amazing. It's amazing because it starts to break apart and deconstruct and just break down and get rid of some of those things where we can like actually get to the nitty gritty,
and get to know one another.
And get to know and understand one another. Yeah.
And also I did some research and I love how you guys use African, or I think instead of Black people, you guys refer to African, I think it was African Black, but I love how you guys use African with the K. Can you break down what that K means instead of using the C in African?
Absolutely. So that is a spelling termed and coined by great thinkers, leaders like Marcus Garvey, continued on by people like Kwame Ture and so many others who understood, because we all know even the term Africa, regardless of how it's spelled, is not the name that the indigenous people of the continent gave themselves. They before they were African, they had their own, tribal names, their own ethnic names. They were Yoruba, they were Kushites, they were Hausa, they were all of these things, which are still, they were Igbo, which are still very, again, like new age terms, so to speak. But the specific spelling with the K is to put aside and to reject the European and English spelling of Africa with the C, because you don't find the letter C in a lot of continental alphabets. And so using the K is to reject that spelling, reject that colonization and that colonial way of thinking about the continent in hopes of replacing it with a more African and continental centered view and understanding of the world. So it's to reject something that is in complete opposition of our identity, of ourselves, and seek to like reimagine it to be something else. And it's only one step. Like, again, all these borders that we have, even, us going to Ghana, like Ghana, again, is a very colonized, like those boundaries exist because of colonialism. Ain't it something that we still talk about colonialism in 2020? 2019 because like
right.
it's still really
It's still
a thing.
prevalent, yeah.
You know, like we live in colonial times, so it's important for us to like talk about, and so that's why we bring that spelling back, and also the people who did that work before us,
right?
Just to show that this is ongoing. Like this work is ongoing. Our journey is ongoing. It's generational. It's too.
I love that. And did you guys know, Sly, Essence Love, did you guys know that Ghana, the president actually is letting Americans come to Ghana and get their citizenship? So you can have dual citizenship. So you guys can come to Africa. We can all make a trip. Can we do a trip? You guys?
You know what?
I would love to.
I think we all need to do a trip.
Let me get Tommy's credit
Seriously.
card. Hold on. But you know, I'm glad
we got to stop in Nigeria too, though.
I know, yeah, definitely. But you know, I'm glad you said that because I want to ask you. So, being that you went to Ghana, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got two questions. Do you find, because you're from America, right? I take it.
I'm from California.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, I get the I get what you're saying. But do you find that there's racism and like, because the ongoing thing is when people find out that from another country that you're from America, they figure that you're just a dumb American. Do you run into that?
There is, I wouldn't say racism. Race is a concept. Race is a social construct. Race is a way of organizing people in society. That is a special way of doing things that's like really specially here in the United States. Like how we understand race is very different from how it's seen in the rest of the world. In my experience, and Liv, you know, can attest to this as well and give her side. When I went to Ghana, and even from learning about people who come from non-European or non-Western countries, not even just Western, because we forget when we talk about, I said California, not America, because there's South America there that has Latin culture, which is indigenous, like in that there are indigenous peoples as well that don't identify by the color of their skin or this concept of race. They identify where you from, where your ancestors from. So when I went to Ghana, that was something new, and not new in like I never knew that it was such a thing for people to vouch for people to respect you or for people to get along with you or be willing to engage with you based on where you're from, because we do that here. Sometimes we just call it set tripping. You know, I'm from the West Coast, you from the East Coast, you know, you from down south. It's the same thing. So there it wasn't so much racism. Again, you have miseducation of people due to people having their history stripped from themselves.
Right.
So when I did have encounters with people that were uncomfortable or, you know, where we're off-putting, it came down to our miseducation about one another. It came from how the United States is portrayed in the news and in the media to be this glorious place, and
vice versa.
You know, I like no lie went over there too with a very romanticized way of viewing the continent, only to get there and it's like, dang, we've had some stuff happen to us in throughout our history that have led us to this point. So I wouldn't say it's racism. I would say it's disconnection. It's disconnection more than anything that I experienced, being able to having to go and look at someone who literally looks just like you, where if we didn't speak,
you would know.
You would not know. It's when we start talking, you know, and me not being able to speak in your language or speak in a dialect that you're even accustomed to or used to hearing, and me having to then explain it. So that the disconnection is an opportunity to like reconnect.
Absolutely. And in that moment, it's amazing. I feel like they love seeing Americans that are curious, that want to know. So it's not really like looking frowned upon or looking down at them. It's actually excited that you want to come back to your roots and you want to know what's going on. So they're so open to teaching, and they're so open to, you know, giving you more insight on what's going on and what's really happening. Because like she said, in America, our ideas and our concepts and our thoughts about Africa are, you know what I mean? They're misconstrued.
That's what we see on TV. If
you might see the kids running on Feed the Children or something like that.
With flies in their face.
And it's not just like that. Like when I was in Nigeria, it was Bentleys, G-Wagons everywhere. And I was like, what? And I'm Nigerian, you know?
Yeah.
So going back there, that blew my mind. So it's all these different disconnects that we have. So going back to the motherland, really seeing what's happening out there and getting a lot of those questions answered.
Yeah.
The one of the questions, because I just had a different, I guess, I don't know. I have a different meeting with people from, and it's not people from, but like from Ghana, from Africa, from Nigeria. They feel that, and they've told me this, and we went back and forth, that we're not black enough in the United States. It's like they're more pure. It's like, how can you be more pure? We were kidnapped. So how could it they act like we're watered down in America versus in Ghana and Africa, it's the motherland. How do you deal with that kind of stuff? Because you're fair skinned, and I know there's fair skinned people in Ghana and Africa and stuff like that, but
y'all go follow me on Instagram at TIALW so you can see that I am not fair skinned. Please.
You are fair skinned.
At TIALW on Instagram. I am not fair skinned.
What color do you think fair skin is?
I don't know.
Okay, you're fair skinned.
Okay.
You're definitely...
It's perception. And
okay.
it's perception. And colorism, that's one of them numbers that been played on it. So I do understand. I do understand what you're saying. To answer your question, so they say, not even they, knowledge of self, like to know yourself is that's the one of the most powerful forms of knowledge. Mm-hmm. When we go into the world, when we have knowledge of self, that makes any sort of conflict, that makes any sort of experience completely different based on how we see and understand ourselves. Mm-hmm. So for West2West, we focus on bridging the gap between Africans and the diaspora, recognizing that we are coming from the States. And our history and our experiences in this world is very unique and very peculiar to us here in the States. Mm-hmm. It's not to take away from anybody else because it's not a competition. Again, to be a colonized people is its own experience in itself. To be here in the United States where we have had hundreds of years of domestication happening, where you have culture stripped from you, you have language stripped from you, you have forced breeding happening to you, you have family separated. Yeah, that creates some like mixtures of things. Like, duh, you know what I'm saying? Like it creates what it creates. And so when you know those things, and for me, I would say that's a privilege to be able to know that sense of self and to have gone and done my own study and to know those things. So when I have to talk about them, I don't talk about them from an insecure perspective or from an insecure place. They've happened. This is history. It's fact. It doesn't lie. How do we move forward? And what does that mean for who we are today is something different. So how I engage in those conversations is based on fact. Right. The emotional piece of it is kind of, it's put to the side because this is what happened. You know what I'm saying? We didn't just get here by accident. We didn't just show up. I'm not here speaking in this tongue that sounds foreign to you. That's a colonizer's tongue because I chose it for myself. You know what I'm saying? So when you know those things, the ways in which we're able to engage with one another is a lot more powerful. So for West2West, it's important that when we take our trips, we have to instill in ourselves the importance of functioning from a position of power and not a position of insecurity or functioning from like this deficit model, like, oh, I'm from the States and I don't have my culture and I'm this, that, and the other. Our ancestors, we survived the belly of the beast.
Right.
And that's a story. And then that's where I walk from. And that's where we walk from. We survived the belly of the beast. So the thing that there's a saying that like, okay, the colonizer came, brought things like religion to the continent, left religion. No, we live here with those same forces and we see them every day. We live in a country that is supposed to be of the free world and yet has the highest rates of incarceration. That's slave labor. That's slavery. Like we live in a country where they will project so many other countries on the news practicing slavery when it's happening right here. Mm-hmm. You understand? Mm-hmm. Most of the people that are incarcerated for nonviolent crimes. They're economic crimes. So that's what we live in and we experience and we survive every day. So the things that you're mentioning, yes, they're very real things and there's context. And when we understand the context, it makes these conversations a lot more, it's not emotional. Yo, fam, I hear what you're saying. That's how I engage it. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but let me run the facts for you. Let me break this down to you. And as soon as we talk from that point, it's like, all right, now we can get from somewhere because people respect how much you know about yourself. People respect you based on how much you respect yourself and how much you value yourself. Definitely. It doesn't matter if we share the same skin. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When you know yourself, that comes with a level of power in itself. Definitely. And it's not about going to the continent and claiming this African identity and leaving behind our blackness and whatever the case may be. No, in the same way that Nigerians can be Nigerian, but they can still be African and they can still funk and they can still have they friendly competitions with Ghanaians. There's a such thing called subcultures. Mm-hmm. So we are African, we are black, but to be from the States, we have a subculture, and sub not meaning below, but we have our own culture. Just like to be from the West Coast, it's own unique Black culture. To be from the East Coast is its own unique culture. To be from the Bay Area is its own unique Black culture. To be from LA is its that's where you're from.
Yeah.
So it's understanding the dynamics and
Down
the
south,
complex.
baby.
I forgot about you, not a dirty.
Yeah.
So
Mississippi.
oh yeah, that's out there.
That's
girl.
way
That's
down there.
way down there. So go ahead.
I'm glad you said that because I want to know. I mean, because you talk from a good point, and because you have experience. How do you feel about Kanye West?
Wow, we just had this conversation in the car. I'm not gonna speak on Kanye West. I will say that since the 1800s in this country, Black folks have been working to define themselves. We have been working, not even since the 1800s, since, at least as far as I'm concerned, and at least as far as I have studied and know, from like the 1500s, we have been working to Black folks. And this is not just a Black issue, though it directly affects us. This country has been dealing with violence. This country has been dealing with corruption. This country has thrived off of chaos, confusion, under the guise of democracy, under the guise of religion, under the guise of Christianity. For Black people, we have struggled and we have sought and we have strived on finding hope in a place that is very hopeless.
Yes.
So when people, anybody, no matter what race, what creed, what class they are, come into a space, come into a realm, and have a influence, and they manipulate any sort of institution, they manipulate any sort of practice, they manipulate any sort of element of a culture of people who literally sometimes the only thing they have left to hold on to is their hope. When someone comes and they manipulate that for their own agenda, that's evilness and that's wickedness. And that's all I'll say on that.
I mean, I'm just, I believe in being being a realist, and I understand what you're saying, but I just call it what it is. It's crazy. I mean, it just don't make sense. Slavery was not a choice. I don't think anybody said, "Hey, enslave me." So I don't understand why, as a Black culture, the people are scared to say what it is. I mean, because I've been in real world things, so it's like I'm not scared to say, even like I tell Kanye to his face. I mean, Van Lathan told him to his face. I mean, he worded it great. I mean, yeah. I mean, I get it, but I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about any country. I mean, I don't know. We might be the least corrupt. Like, I mean, you can look at Brazil, you can look at Africa, you can look at anywhere. I mean, it's just a revolving door. Like all politicians, to tell you the truth, I don't even think Obama did enough for us. Because Donald Trump is showing that all the stuff that Obama was trying to do, he could have just did it and just said, I don't care what y'all think, I'm doing it. Donald Trump just does it. It doesn't matter. He don't care. He's like, if you don't like it, then so well. Show us your tax returns. No. Okay. So, I mean, I just think.
But see, with Obama, he did do a lot. A whole lot of us color folks don't think so. But with everything, you always got to go back and check the facts, right? But I also think that when you are only given a certain amount of power to do certain things, then that's what it's gonna be. I would rather to go down and doing what I can and fighting for the things that I can, and to me, you always can do more. Like people like, oh, he could have done more. Okay, well, in life we always can do more. You always can say more kind words. You always can do something much more. But at the end of the day, I would rather die with my dignity. I would rather die it was an excellent homegoing for Cummins, right?
Yeah.
For Elijah. And that was the most beautiful service that I've ever seen. And they spoke from not the heart, not the mind, but they spoke from the soul. Obama spoke from his soul. And you want to go down, and at the end of the day, when your days are numbered, you want to lay down knowing that you have strived to be an upright person, right? Donald Trump, that's a whole nother issue in itself. His competition, he eats, breathes, sleeps Obama. Like, he cannot not keep that man's name out of his mouth. Why? Because a just man will prevail over injustice any day. And I rest my case on that.
Okay.
Democracy, we live in a country that's ruled by like the concept of democracy. So honestly, we are naturally, I think, a very high morale people. Just because we come from the sun. Like, look at our skin. We just glow. You know, we come from the sun. So we're connected to nature and everything that feels good, and also understanding like the politics of it all, because everything is political and power. Anybody that's placed in these positions they'll become it, you know? Like to be elected, even the process of being elected, when you think about it, it's not democratic. So it doesn't matter if it's a red person, blue person, yellow person, white person.
Don't matter.
It don't matter who it is. You know, it's gonna be some consequences. You look at the work of all of these presidents and what they've done overseas, then that shows like their true their resume, I think, and where they stand. You look at how they have stopped very progressive movements on the continent and how they have put a halt to certain things. So it's once we get past, I think, the feeling good of things, and what feels good, what feels bad, and what just makes sense, and what has been happening for centuries, and it's like, okay, let's buy out. Let's take the blue pill. Let's take the blue pill this time.
Well,
thank you.
Well, yeah. Let me. Since we talking about that, let's get into the topic of the day. Okay. Since we got Tia, since we got you in here, you've been to Ghana and all that, and we got Levy E, and she's in Trinidad. Nope.
Nigeria.
I know. I just wanted to see what she was going to say.
I'm like, slack.
I just wanted to see what she was going to say.
Yourself.
But okay, since I'm the only male on the mic, I got 3 females on the mic.
I'm a woman.
I got 3 women on the mic. All right.
Snaps to that.
Can an alpha male be with an alpha female? Tia, we're gonna go with you first. Alpha male, alpha female.
I was just having this conversation with somebody. It's about complementary and balance and everything, the duality and everything. So I think any 2 people can be together so long as they balance one another. This idea of alpha male and alpha female is kind of foreign, because I come from a family of like strong women, you know, and aside of a family from a family of strong men. So they was both strong to have to get through everything that they got through.
Did they get along?
They made it work. So my version of getting along is, can you raise your household? Can you protect your family? You know what I'm saying? That's just based on me and my own ethics. Can you build?
Can they be together was the question.
If they build together, they can be together. Now, what their conversation, how often they may smile at one another, how often they may kiss one another, that's a different story. But, you know, they built and made things happen. So I think it's about complementary. Me, on a side note, I like to talk a lot. So I've settled on the fact that the person that I may be with, you know, may not need to talk as much as me. It doesn't mean that person is weaker than me, because power works in all kind of shapes or forms, but it's about complementary. So, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Livy.
Alpha male, alpha female.
C.
Like the amazing Tia said, I believe that balance is everything. And I feel like if 2 parties really care about each other, they can work it out. I do feel like in each situation, there always has to be a moment where someone kind of either agrees to disagree or is able to kind of take the, how do you say, a lower stance? Or, you know what I mean?
I don't think an alpha male or alpha female would take a lower stance.
But I think if both parties really care about each other, they can actually make it work. And I think it's really about respect. When both parties respect each other, they can both be dominant. But if you have that level of respect, it's okay to say, you know what, I trust your judgment. You know what, I will go with that because I see how you handle things. So I do feel like it can work.
I mean, it sounds like somebody's giving up a little bit, but yeah.
I think it's all about compromise, and that's relationships.
Okay.
Can we define, like, really quick, by alpha? What do you mean by that?
Just very strong and dominant.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah, very strong-minded.
Yeah.
I believe that it could work. Back to Thea, back to Livy. I believe that it can work. You just have to respect. Respect is the key word. Like, it doesn't matter in any relationship. If you don't respect someone at the end of the day, it's just not going to work. It doesn't matter who's headstrong or anything. It doesn't matter.
So, Tyrese and Omarosa, that can work?
Well, if they respected each other.
Alpha male, alpha female.
If they respected each other.
I doubt it.
Yeah, but
I doubt it.
But if they
they're gonna respect each other. Whoever wins the fight.
No, you missing the whole point.
I'm confused still. Like, I know we grow, like, I've grown up definitely hearing the term alpha male, alpha female, but like, as I get older, I question, like, what does it mean to be dominant? Because if it's being strategic, you know, if dominance means strategy, then you're going to make it work. Again, if you have an objective, you're going to commit to it and make it work based on the strengths that you have. So I just still be confused, like, with just narrowing it down, like alpha female, alpha male, because it's like, okay,
It goes back to
It's
respect.
you winning, you winning.
It goes back to respect.
And yeah, I agree. And also trusting that person's judgment.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting question. I wonder why that question. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask the producer after we get off. Like, why that question in that order?
Yeah, because I didn't make these questions this week. That, you know what I'm saying? Because it would have been pillow fight talk.
I got one question though.
See.
So Tia.
Yes.
So there's, okay, I don't know if you guys know, but there's something called jollof rice. So did you try Ghanaian jollof?
Thank you. Bring it back to this. That's
Yes.
what I want to talk about.
Did you try Ghanaian jollof?
Oh yeah, I did.
And have you tried Niger jollof?
Of course.
What is
And
that?
which one's
I have
better?
no idea what it is.
I'm gonna let y'all know. Which one's better?
French fries?
I'm gonna wink twice. Actually, oh dang! I told you how many times I'm a wink. I said I'm a wink the number of times that matches the order. It's not gonna make sense. I like.
She likes gelatin.
I like gelatin.
Yeah. All right, well.
I like Nigerian jollof.
Yeah. Well, check it out, man.
Never had
Tia, thank you for coming in.
I got you.
Thank you for educating us
Yes,
on
thank you.
everything. Let us get, where can we stay in touch with you, with your Instagram handle, your Twitter handle, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. West2West.com is our website. West Movement is our Instagram handle. West is our Facebook handle, YouTube handle. We have a docuseries that has just been released on our previous trips. We are going to Ghana this December, and we do go every December. Our trips are, all inclusive. We want to make it to where anybody can go.
Oh, you think I can go?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's what's up.
We all
Yeah.
I would definitely love to go.
We all go.
Yeah, children,
Yeah.
babies, everything. We got intern opportunities. We do Saturday school program. We do it
Okay.
all.
For
I
sure.
would definitely
All
love to
right,
go.
well,
we take the get down live then.
yeah, we
Come
take the
on.
Get Down
Get
Live.
down live to West2West.
So, my
We can
girl,
talk about alpha males.
Libby E, thanks for giving us all that
Yes,
education.
Yes. And Miss Tia and West2West movement needs to be on Inspire Africa LA too. So stay tuned.
Woo-hoo.
Holla. And Essence Love.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Information is power. Knowing yourself is power. And that is your power. So I just thank you. That was awesome.
Well, for sure. It's your boy Sly Jones. I'm telling you, I'm moving to either Ghana or somewhere else in the next couple of months. It's going down. The Get Down Live. It's your boy
Yes.
Sly, Libby E,
Going down.
Essence.
Woo.
Thank you, Tia Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you. They get down live.
Yes.